Okay, I'm nearly 43. I've been married and divorced before. I'm married again now. Very happy. But you know what? There's nothing worse when you're a man in your 40s or hell, even 50s, whatever, when you feel like you're living with a roommate. And I really wanted to talk about it today, about the lessons I've learned from a past marriage that fell apart, what I could have probably done differently. Like, do I think we will be together today? No. Fundamentally, we just grew apart, and that's okay. But there are definitely lessons that I've took from that I've learned and I've took now into my current marriage and my relationship as a man, but also showing up as a partner. There is nothing worse than you meeting someone, it's starting off really well, which it always does, dopamine, and then it goes to shit. After a time, you're moving in, he gets very transactional, you're doing your thing, she's doing her thing, the kids are doing their things, and before you know it, the communication is just nosedived, and you're on the sofa at opposite ends, you're both on your phone, scrolling on Instagram and TikTok, and you're not communicating, you're not chilling out, you're not going out on dates anymore, and it becomes transactional, and that is one of the biggest things that just kills relationship. So I wanted to go through about 4 steps that I have personally took on board from my, you could call them lessons or errors in the past, and what I've brought with me now. And I really hope it works for you, because I see this I've got close friends who are just existing barely in their marriages. And yeah, I wanted to share it with you because there's nothing worse than feeling like a roommate. The first step that I learned from my divorce and moving into my relationship now with my wife is I fell foul to what I call the provider trap. Yes, as a man and as a leader and as a husband, as a father probably, or potentially you are, yeah, damn right you're a leader, damn right you're a provider. But it can get overshadowed with you actually becoming a partner to your wife. She wants a partner. If you're out, and I see it, I've done it, you like, well, I've got to pay the mortgage, I've got to keep the lights on, I've got to put food on the table, right? I've got to show up to work. Absolutely, you've got a duty of care to do that, as you should. But unfortunately, what happened with me and what I see with other men, even in their 50s doing this, 60s, they fall into the trap of just being the provider. They don't know who they are. They've completely lost their identity or sense of self as to who they actually are. So you don't show up as a partner to your wife, and it's very, very, very off-putting to them. And yes, they can do the same thing. We're not fully responsible. It happens to them as well, but I'm just speaking to men specifically. And then you just end up having this transactional relationship, if you want to call it that. But I'll tell you this, and I'll keep this one short. As someone who's gone through this, and I've spoke to a lot of women, and my current wife will tell me this all the time. Yes, you can bring the big paychecks home. You can earn all the money in the world. But you know what? A very good, grounded woman, an honest woman, wants a man who shows up. She wants a man who is a partner for her. She wants to feel safe and secure in other ways rather than finances. Yes, it's nice to have all the nice things, of course. But aside from her being a gold digger, she wants a man who shows up, who's present with her and the kids, who actually lights up the room when he walks in and brings energy back. A man who, when he's been at the office all day, comes in and she's looking forward to you getting home. And I've not got a perfect marriage whatsoever, but when I come back through those doors, she doesn't feel relief that I'm back. She feels happy that I'm back because I bring it. And again, I'm not perfect. So fuck the money. She's not that bothered about it. A good woman isn't. She wants you to be a partner and support her that way. So you got to ask yourself, when was the last time you walked through the door and she was really, really happy to see you come home? Or is she just feeling relieved? You've got to ask yourself that and be honest. The other shift I made was, I call it the energy drain. Right? After 40 especially, we know our testosterone is dropping by about 1 to 2% every year. It's quite a lot. Sometimes it's quicker for other men, sometimes it's slower, but on average we can say 1 to 2%. Well, what does low testosterone do? Okay, well, it gives you excess belly fat, makes your mood bad, makes your libido tank. Yeah, you can't focus, you can't sleep very well, you're generally more irritable, maybe more angry, because your hormones aren't right. Testosterone is your bread and butter. That is the framework and core of who you are as a man. And the problem with that, and I'm not just putting it down to testosterone, some men have decent testosterone, but they just let themselves go energetically. Your wife fell in love with a man who went hiking with her all the time, or went hiking on his own, or played sports, or had some kind of hobbies or interests. And you'll realize over time that you've lost a step. You're just not doing that anymore. And I fell foul of this. I got into such a sort of toxic, dysfunctional mindset that I prefer to come home and just lie on the sofa and just drink beer every night and eat takeout every weekend and watch sport, put the NFL on, you know. And yeah, it's good every once in a while, but I could see my wife's energy towards me shifted. Not that she fell out of love with me, not that she wants this ripped Adonis with bulging muscles and a six-pack, no. But we've got to be honest with ourselves. If you are in better shape, you feel better. If you're in better shape, your wife's going to probably be more attracted to you. And it's not the only thing. I'm not saying this manosphere shit where it's like, you know, you've got to be ripped and shredded. No. But if you're in better shape, you've got better energy, you conduct yourself better. Your wife's going to be more attracted to you when you bring that energy to the table. So it really starts with getting the basics right. And I bang on about these in my other videos I've made on this channel. And that is like your hormones, your blood work, your sleep, your cortisol levels, your testosterone levels, your diet and nutrition, and your training. Where are those things at? You've got to check everything to make sure that you are the best man you can possibly be and you turn up with the highest energy possible, because that is one of the things that I was missing in buckets, and that did ultimately drive my marriage apart as well, that I would never make the mistake again when I moved on, and I haven't. The third shift that I made was getting out of the conversation graveyard. I just see it all the time. And again, I'm guilty of this in the past. You are so locked in on life, grinding. You've got the kids to look after. You've got yourself to look after, your wife to look after. You're keeping the lights on. You've got a business to run or a full-time job working 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And your conversation just goes. You know, when was the last time you had an actual conversation with your wife? And I'm not talking about, honey, did you pay the gas bill? Honey, did you sort the kids' tennis lessons out? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking an actual conversation where you sit down together and you say, hey, I'm just checking in on you, babe. How are you feeling right now? How's this week gone for you? Is there anything that I need to know? When was the last time you spoke to her like that? Because I didn't care. And it's not that like I was doing it maliciously. I consider myself to be a good-hearted man. I'm not perfect. I've made some mistakes in the past, but I didn't check in on my ex-wife. Never really checked in on it because I was just so, you know, lasered in. I had tunnel vision with everything else. And that's just not my fault. I'm not blaming myself for it. I did the best with what I could at the time. But on reflection, you have to check in. And your wife will be drawn closer to you as well. She won't feel that distance as much where you take the lead. Just check in with her a couple of times a week. Or if she's having a bad week, just sit her down and say, babe, it sounds like you're having a really, really tough week and I'm sorry you're going through it. Is there anything I can do to support you? I know I'm not here all the time, but what do you need from me? That will go a million miles, and it's so simple to do. Yet very few men do it. I have a close work colleague of mine who he doesn't really give a shit. He's so self-centered and selfish. He will never ever ask his wife if she's okay. Yet she's working full time. She's picking the kids up from school. She's doing everything with them, and he just does his thing. He's working hard, but he never ever checks in on her because it's all about him. He's the victim. He's the one suffering, where it's like, and no wonder he's got having no sex life, because she doesn't feel secure. She doesn't feel like wanted or needed or heard. A quick conversation stops all that, and regularly done so. And the fourth biggest one, I think, for me, out of this, what I learned is the intimacy gap. You know, a lot have been over 40. Again, you just get into this transactional lifestyle. Did you book the dentist? Did you do that? Were you picking the kids up? Am I picking them up? You know, what time you working till? It just becomes boring and transactional. And I'm not just talking about sex when I talk about intimacy, although that is a big part of it. And that naturally does drop off for a lot of people, even though it doesn't have to. But again, it comes down to communication and making your woman feel safe. When was the last time you touched her? Just touched her on, brushed her arm, or stroked her ass just as you're walking past in the kitchen? When did you just slightly kiss her neck when you walked past her? Or did you just play with her hair while she's on the sofa or something? Or just hold her hand when you're out walking? Or if you're out in a coffee shop, when did you put your hand on her leg and just stroke it? It's these little things of intimacy, what they love. It doesn't only make them feel better, it makes you feel better. And it just brings you together. And yeah, you have to have a level of self-awareness for this, because again, I'm really not like preaching, I've been there. I'm literally talking about my ex-marriage, my past marriage. And now I make an actual conscious effort if I'm out with my wife. And I'm not saying all the time, I'm not up her ass, like holding her all the time and just, you know, loving on her and smooching her in public. But I just mean like a little thing here and there. If I'm going to go to the restroom, if I'm in a restaurant, I'll get up and I'll just kiss her on the head and say, be back in a minute. Just stuff, little things like that. It just goes so far and brings you both together. And I know why a lot of men don't do it, because they say, well, you know, I feel like I'm getting knocked back. And I felt that way. And I was like, well, she's not interested in me, so fuck her. I'm not interested in her. But, you know, one of you's got to take the lead. And maybe she's feeling the same way. Maybe she's distant because you're distant, right? One of you can't both sit back. You've got to really try. So as a man and as a leader, I think it's in our responsibility. And, listen, it's not fully our responsibility, but it doesn't take much. I guarantee, and this is what I've learned, if you take the first lead and do these little intimate touches here and there, she will start mirroring that. It just works. So my recommendation to you, I'm not a therapist, not a doctor, just pick one of those things and just try it for the next 7 days. You don't have to go and buy her flowers. You don't have to go and buy her a new car. You don't have to do all these things and take her on fancy days. Just pick one. Maybe it's the conversation. Just stick with it and try. That's what I did. And again, I'm not perfect. I've messed up royally in the past. But maybe you can just choose one thing and say, I'm gonna ask how her day was today and if she needs anything from me. And you do that a few times a week. With that said, guys, wanted to make it not super long. I hope you got value from it. Very simple stuff, but it works. If you did, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and also leave your comments as well in the comment section, and I'll catch you on the next one.